This is OPB. I'm Jeff Norcross. Over the weekend, the last of the victims of the disaster at a paper mill in Longview, Washington, was recovered. Now all the victims who were killed or injured have been accounted for. What remains are the important questions of how it happened and could it have been prevented. OPB's Conrad Wilson is part of the team that's been covering this disaster over the last week, and he joins me now. Conrad, hi.
Hi, Jeff.
Do we have answers to those questions yet?
No, not yet. And as you noted, there's a lot of questions still, both for the owners at the Nippon Dynawave Packaging Company and investigators who are looking into the tank rupture that's now killed 11 people, injured many others, including a firefighter who was responding to the emergency. We've seen a shift away from the emergency response and shock, of the community towards a growing call for answers.
And when might we get those answers?
The process can take months, and in some cases, even longer. Last week, Brian Wood with Nippon had this to say during a very windy news conference in Longview.
We are cooperating fully with the agencies that have the responsibility to the public to do that analysis. They're on site here today, and we're working with them. It'd be very premature to try to estimate when that might be available. We are very much in early days. We're doing everything we can to be responsive to their requests.
Wood did also say the company was working to preserve as much of the evidence on the site as possible for the future.
Okay, so there are active investigations already happening, and you, Conrad, spoke with experts about how they usually go. What did you hear?
So let's just start by looking at the investigations that are open. Washington State and the federal government have investigations looking at different aspects of this incident. For example, the state's looking at environmental and workplace safety issues. And the U.S. Chemical Safety Board also has folks in Longview looking at what led to the tank failure. It's worth noting that under the Trump administration's current federal budget, the Chemical Safety Board it's not funded, which has caused alarm with some elected officials worried the agency may not be around before the investigation is completed. The Chemical Safety Board is a non-regulatory agency, but does these very in-depth investigations into these kind of deadly, big industrial incidents. If you look at their website, you can look at, when the incidents have happened and when the reports are done, and really that can take years before the public sees a report. Marissa Baker is a professor with the University of Washington's Department of Environmental and Occupational Health Sciences. And she says all workplace injuries should be considered preventable, and it's the responsibility of companies such as Nippon to protect their workers.
You're dealing with massive amounts of chemicals. What happens if it falls? What happens if it explodes? They have probably thought through quite a bit what would happen if it explodes, right? Like if the heat or the pressure. Those are things that are monitored. Those are things that are checked.
And Conrad, speaking of chemicals, this accident involved a massive tank holding this dangerous chemical concoction known as white liquor. You've been talking to experts about that stuff. What do they say?
I'm actually going to let one of those experts I spoke with answer that.
White liquor is a nasty material. Highly, highly corrosive. pH of 14, very subject to chemical burns.
That's Stephen Kimitek, a professor of chemical engineering at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, and he's talking about the chemical that's used as part of the paper-making process. It breaks down wood. And while it's obvious we don't know what happened with this tank failure yet, Kimitek has a theory, and it's based on decades of working in the chemical industry. He says it looks like an implosion that he guessed was caused by a plugged valve, so no air was able to enter the tank to equalize the pressure.
Picture a plastic water bottle, those real thin-walled plastic water bottles, and you put your mouth over it and start drinking, but you have a good seal on that opening. What I believe could well have happened in this case is they were pulling out, but there was no way for air or something else to backfill that volume as they were sucking material out of it. And so it collapsed, just like that water bottle.
Now, that's still very much a theory, and really, it will be up to the investigators to determine how this 900,000-gallon tank ruptured.
And we shouldn't forget that, as you mentioned, at least 11 people died from this disaster, however it happened. How are their families driving the quest for answers here?
Well, some are becoming more vocal. Families have hired attorneys. So much of the first week was really processing the shock and deep grief. How could something like this happen? How did it happen? But in the past few days, there's really been a growing sense of accountability and folks in Longview wanting answers.
Much more to come, I'm sure. Conrad, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jeff.
Conrad Wilson is a reporter for OPB, and you can find the latest information about the Longview paper mill disaster at opb.org.
Medical workers say health care at an upstate New York jail is in shambles. Supplies and prescription drugs are running out. Some workers are leaving. Others are waiting for paychecks. Kimberly Izar from Radio Catskill reports.
J.L. Montgomery worked as a licensed practical nurse at the Orange County Jail in New York for about a year. But after the healthcare contractor Yes Care filed for bankruptcy in May, she quit. Montgomery says she and dozens of other healthcare workers went weeks without pay, and they're still missing a paycheck.
Honestly, I live paycheck to paycheck. Thankfully, I had friends and family that could step in and help me, but bills still come at the same time.
Yes Care's bankruptcy has also left jail healthcare workers without pay in states including Alabama, Florida, and Pennsylvania. Montgomery says medications and supplies have run low at Orange County Jail. Instead of latex gloves, she's sometimes resorted to using food service gloves.
Also, medications like trazodone. It's a mental health med. That never came in.
A new provider, CFG Health, has since taken over for Yes Care in some states. Lynn Guerrero, CFG Health's chief legal officer, says they're trying to ensure employees are caught up on pay.
We've talked about Orange County withholding payment to Yes Care and trying to get these people paid their, essentially back pay at this point.
The county said in an email to NPR that the medical provider is responsible for paying its employees. Critics say Yes Care's bankruptcy highlights larger concerns. Steve Zeidman, co-director of the CUNY School of Law Defenders Clinic, says a huge challenge in prison healthcare is accountability.
We're constantly trying to figure out who is contracting to provide medical care and what are the qualifications of these people. Is anybody auditing them?
New York State oversight agencies have long been criticized for delaying inspections. CFG Health and Orange County Jail did not respond to our questions about oversight practices before the story aired. For NPR News, I'm Kimberly Izar in Liberty, New York.
Organizations representing nurses and PAs, those are physician assistants and associates, are suing the U.S. Department of Education. They say a new rule capping annual federal student loans will not only harm their members, but also aggravate healthcare shortages across the country. Todd Pickard is the president of the American Academy of Physician Associates, one of the groups suing. He's also a practicing PA in Texas. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Aisha. It's my pleasure to be here.
Could you start by explaining what this new rule is and how it applies to nurses and PAs?
The Department of Education has decided that certain degree plans will qualify for what they call the professional loan limits, which is a higher tier of federal fund for loans, and that other group will be in the non-professional tier, which is a lower limit. And historically, PAs and nurses have fit in the professional category with the higher loan limits because we do meet the three-tiered test that Congress created years ago in statute about what defines a professional degree. So what this means is that folks will not be able to get the amount of loans that they need to cover their education and their living expenses while they are training.
How much is the average cost of a physician associate's education?
The median is somewhere between $90,000 and $110,000 a year. But for example, if you look at a school in Texas that's close to where I live, they look at the cost of not only tuition, but housing, food, supplies, books, and everything else that the student has to have. And it's $160,000 to get through the entire program, which is about 2.5 years. I think what people forget is that we're not just talking about tuition. When you're in PA school, you're working in the program 60 to 80 hours a week. you have to live off of your loans because you are unable to hold any kind of part-time job. And so it's really critically important to remember that. When I graduated very long ago in 1998, I've been a PA for 28 years, my loans were $87,000. So applying the new loan limits today, I would be short about $37,000.
Yeah. And just to clarify, what are the new loan limits?
So for the lower tier, it is $20,500 per year, and then a total of $50,000.
And what is a physician associate's role in healthcare today?
Oh, that's an amazing question. What don't we do?
Okay.
PAs, I work in oncology, so I like to talk about PAs as the stem cells. Basically, we can turn into anything that is needed. We fill in gaps, and we can pivot and become whatever the healthcare system needs. But PAs make medical diagnosis, they formulate treatment plans, they prescribe, they write orders, they perform procedures, they educate patients, they refer to other professionals, they work in teams with physicians and nurses and others. Basically, when you are being seen by a PA, you are getting medical care that you would not be able to tell is different than anybody else giving you medical care.
Has this role expanded over the years, especially when, places are dealing with like doctor shortages and what have you?
Absolutely. When I started at my employer almost 30 years ago, there were probably about 15 PAs in the entire institution. My institution is 27,000 employees. 500 of those are PAs. An additional 800 are types of advanced practice nurses. So it's interesting, at my institution, half of the medical providers are physician, and the other half of medical providers are PAs and nurse practitioners. So we have to have all healthcare providers doing the work that they can do. There's around 200,000 PAs currently practicing in the United States in every area, every specialty.
Given that there are doctor shortages across the country, especially in rural areas, what's your response to the argument that some students who are studying to be a PA or a nurse should try to be a doctor instead?
That's a really interesting question, and I think it really comes down to people making choices about how they want to practice and what kind of career they want to have. What's interesting about PAs is that we have incredible job flexibility that physicians and nurse practitioners do not. They get tied into one specialty or one population of care, and PAs can go from pediatrics to surgery to general practice to emergency medicine. It's a calling to medicine, but with this opportunity to say, hey, I'm very interested in doing all these different types of things. I don't want to be locked into just one type of practice for the next 50 years. So it's really about people making choices of what they want to do and how they want to live their lives. Right now, the United States has a shortage of healthcare providers, period, the end. We have more people without insurance or under insurance. We have patients who are living longer. We have more mental health, more diabetes, more obesity, more hypertension, more cancer, which is what I'm specialized in. So this is a time when the government should be investing in healthcare, not divesting. We need to make sure that we have PAs, nurses, nurse practitioners, pharmacists, physicians. We need everybody.
That's Todd Pickard. He's a PA in Texas and the president of the American Academy of Physician Associates. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
In a statement to NPR, Ellen Keast, the Ed Department's press secretary for higher education, noted the rise in tuition over the last 2 decades and says the Trump administration is, quote, ending a system that pushed students into debt and is promoting access to high-quality education that serves students, not institutional bottom lines.
Why haven't you learned anything?
Lawmakers in Baton Rouge wrapped up the regular session this week without money in the budget to give teachers another one-time stipend like they've done for the past 3 years. Instead, Governor Jeff Landry is asking lawmakers to pull the money needed from existing school funding. Here's Landry at a press conference yesterday.
We should have the highest paid teachers in the South, not the lowest.
Joining me now to discuss this is WWNO WRKF education reporter Aubrey Juhas. Hi there.
Hey, Adam.
Let me make sure I'm understanding this. Landry wants to give teachers another one-time stipend, $2,000 for teachers, $1,000 for support staff, like before. But instead of adding money to the budget to pay for that, he wants to move existing money around. Is that right?
Correct. Under the governor's executive order, teachers would get a stipend at school district's expense because the money would come out of the $4 billion the state sends to public schools. Schools would lose almost $170 million. That's about $30 million less than the state spent on stipends last year, since it's restricting them this time to classroom educators. Principals are no longer included.
Sort of sounds like an unfunded mandate. Is this because voters rejected dissolving the state's education trusts in that May 16th election to fund a permanent raise?
Yeah. So this is Landry's latest workaround to make sure teachers don't get a pay cut this year effectively. He doesn't want the stipend to disappear. But state revenue's down, and that's expected to continue. So he's argued that he couldn't add money to the budget like he's done in the past. Though it is worth noting, there was funding that was added in the budget for things like prisons and pay raises for some state employees. Education has really been the focus of cuts. Lawmakers rejected a proposed funding increase for schools to help with the rising cost of fuel, property insurance, other things that have skyrocketed. And there's been plenty of discussion at the Capitol this year about how Louisiana schools are underfunded. The amount of money schools get per student hasn't increased since before the pandemic. But at his press conference yesterday, Landry argued schools have more than enough money.
We do not have a revenue problem. We have a priorities problem.
Landry suggested districts have the money to pay teachers more but are choosing not to, and that the bureaucracy of school systems, six-figure salaries for superintendents, that's to blame.
Money flows to schools through the state school funding formula. Do we know where in the formula the money will come from exactly?
We don't know yet. Landry has tasked the state's Department of Education and Board of Education with figuring that out. His order says the money must come from non-instructional dollars, meaning funds that don't go directly to classrooms. And the order also says school districts should avoid making cuts to security, transportation, and food services and use any savings they have first.
Do districts have any savings to dip into?
Yeah, it really depends on the district, and some school officials are warning small rural districts in particular could be forced to lay people off in order to cover the stipends. The biggest part of school funding is local revenue, and that varies widely. Some communities raise more than enough money while others struggle because of low property value. They have few businesses. Those districts are really reliant on state dollars. Danny Garrett with the Louisiana School Boards Association said at a state board meeting in January that because Louisiana hasn't consistently increased education funding, districts have become more reliant on local dollars.
What you've had is the gap between the poorer districts and the wealthier districts has gotten larger and larger and larger.
Adam, I listened back to this particular meeting last night because at it, the chief financial officer for schools in Evangeline Parish in the middle of the state, she talked about how her district has already been through several rounds of budget cuts. Property insurance has doubled. They're dealing with increased health insurance costs, workers' compensation, aging facilities. Here's Amy LaFleur speaking at that meeting.
The fact that we can't give raises, the fact that we locally can't do what I'm not that far from Lafayette Parish. I'm not that far from Rapides. I'm actually slap dab in the middle.
LaFleur said she's lost teachers to other parishes that can afford to pay a lot more. She lost a teacher mid-year who was making $46,000 and left for a job making $85,000. So the reality is teacher pay is all over the place across the state. Competition means districts like Evangeline are losing teachers, leading to vacancies, uncertified teachers. And LaFleur said she feels like the state is to blame.
If we had been funded in all the years that we were not, I don't know that we would be facing the dire straits that we're facing now.
Aubrey, is Landry's plan a done deal?
Probably. The Constitution requires 2/3 of the House and Senate to approve changes to school funding. They'll vote by mail since the legislature is no longer in session. And with a Republican supermajority, meaningful opposition is unlikely. Landry's order is supposed to take effect July 1st. Additionally, lawmakers have created a bipartisan task force to look at the state's school funding formula to find money for a permanent raise. Their recommendations are due by the end of December.
Aubrey Uhas is WWNO WRKF's education reporter. Thanks for your reporting on this.
You're welcome.
The first thing we're going to do to, I think, stop racism and stop focusing on racism.
The Trump administration wants to end the requirement for large and mid-sized companies to disclose their workers' race, ethnicity, and gender. The rule, in place since 1966, is meant to root out discrimination in hiring and promotions. But priorities at the nation's premier civil rights agency have changed. NPR's Andrea Hsu reports.
The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission began gathering demographic data at the height of the civil rights era, a time when
Black workers tended to be congregated in the less skilled general laborer jobs.
And not the higher skilled positions
that would be better paid, that would lead toward advancement and managerial opportunities.
Carla Gilbride was at the EEOC during the Biden administration. Over decades, she says, the data has played a key role in holding employers accountable.
It's one of the first things that you can look at as you're trying to learn more
about why, say, there are so few women or Black people in leadership at a certain company. But now the EEOC has given the White House a proposal to stop collecting the data altogether. What's more, the agency also wants to overturn a 1979 rule, one that allowed companies to take temporary steps to hire, say, more women or Black people, if the data revealed an imbalance. Hai Feldblum served as a commissioner under President Obama.
So this is the EEOC giving employers the roadmap of how they can take race and gender into account in a positive way and not violate the law that says you cannot discriminate on the basis of race or sex.
But President Trump's EEOC is not okay with that roadmap. Agency Chair Andrea Lucas has repeatedly argued that race or sex should never influence employment decisions. On social media, she called on white men to come forward if they think they've been denied opportunities because of their race or sex. And she's going after companies she thinks have crossed the line. In an interview with NPR earlier this year, she said the rules are the same for everyone, no matter who's the victim, who's the oppressor.
Those terms don't matter based on race. If you're being treated differently based on race, the exact same rules apply to you.
Lucas elaborated on that point at the Fortune Workplace Innovation Summit last month. She argued her agency exists to ensure equal opportunity, not equitable outcomes.
Are you going to say that the solution is a perpetual victim complex, where the reason someone should have rights is because they were victimized previously?
She called that an ugly version of our country.
Regardless of what has happened before, the way to stop discriminating based on race is to stop discriminating based on race. The end. Full stop.
But getting rid of the 1979 rule won't actually be the end. A pair of Supreme Court precedents stand in the way. These decades-old rulings found employers could give preferential treatment to people of color and women to address underrepresentation as long as it was temporary and didn't create an absolute barrier for white people or men. Feldblum says those landmark decisions remain good law, but for how long, she's not sure.
I think the Supreme Court is just waiting for a case that might allow them to overturn those two important cases.
And the way things are going at the EEOC, such a case could already be in the pipeline. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
Surveys show more than half of managers say they've passed over employees for promotions because of workplace habits, not skills. Things like a lack of initiative, poor visibility, or overcommitting can hold people back even when they're good at their job. Alexa Lorenzo explains.
Good morning.
Your attitude, your reliability, even showing up on time. It may not be why you were hired, but
they allow people to understand you behaviorally.
Over time, these everyday habits can be the difference between moving up or staying stuck.
I answer all my emails and all my Teams messages. I like to give all of my time to the people that I'm with.
One habit that can actually hold people back, being too nice.
So if you're constantly saying yes, you might not actually be able to put your best foot forward or actually produce your best work because you're overwhelmed.
Another habit that can hold people back, staying in the background. Career coach Jenna Watson calls it getting in front of the coach. The idea comes from watching her son's Little League team, where players who stood in front of the coach were more likely to get picked for plays.
So they're constantly being looked over for promotions, and they might have the skill set, but they don't have the relationship built.
Research shows initiative is also a major factor. A recent survey found half of managers said lack of initiative was a top reason new hires didn't work out.
A lot of times people want to wait for the direction.
Other habits can also send the wrong message. Looking disengaged in meetings can signal a lack of interest. And missing or even nearly missing deadlines can suggest you're not ready for more responsibility. Experts say you can build better work habits by staying positive, taking on new tasks, being open to challenges, and asking for feedback from supervisors. Alexa Lorenzo, WGEM News.
Enraged over a lost promotion tonight, a man is behind bars accused of choking his coworker.
Bridgeton police say he confessed he intended to kill her. The chilling attack happened yesterday morning at the McAlister's Deli on St. Charles Rock Road. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski is looking into this case, and Laura reports this isn't the first time he's attacked somebody like this.
Mike and Kelly, Javon Mallory spent 8 years in prison for strangling a classmate in a college bathroom. He's only been out for 4 years, and tonight he's back in jail for a chillingly similar attack. In court documents, Bridgeton police say Javon Mallory came into the McAlister's Deli on St. Charles Rock Road, where he worked around 10:30 a.m. Monday to confront a coworker in the office because she got promoted and he didn't. Police say he locked the door, told the victim he was going to kill her, grabbed her neck, and started choking her. Investigators say he wrestled her to the floor, strangling her until she went limp, but a manager unlocked the office and stopped him, barricading him inside until police arrived. Court documents say Mallory told police he would have killed her if the manager hadn't intervened. 13 years ago, a similar incident happened. When Mallory was 18, he attacked a fellow student at St. Louis Community College's Merrimack campus. Blythe Grupe spoke with 5 on Your Side in 2013 after the attack, saying she was in the bathroom washing her hands when Mallory came out from behind a door and started choking her. An employee ran in and stopped the attack.
That incident really made me aware of how defenseless I am, and it doesn't matter how much security you have in a place or how guarded the school is. I don't think that was at fault at all there. You have to be able to protect yourself.
The college came under fire for its handling of the incident. That same year, several other victims came forward to 5 on Your Side. Speaking anonymously, they told us Mallory had threatened them before attacking Grupe.
He followed me at a shoe length behind me. It wasn't even discreet. It was very obvious stalking.
He was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the bathroom attack, but only served 8. The Missouri Department of Corrections says he got out in October of 2022. Mallory is now facing assault and burglary charges for Monday's alleged attack. We reached out to McAlister's corporate headquarters for comment and have not received a response. Mallory's being held in the St. Louis County Jail on a $500,000 bond.
To the latest on the Amazon shooting, the suspect from last week is in court today. Prosecutors just approved a murder charge this morning.
Lawrence Cafidi was live in Melrose Park last week covering the story for us. She's joining us now with the latest information. What have you learned, Lauren?
Hey, good afternoon. Let's start with today. So today it's a bond hearing at Maybrook Courthouse, and that's in Maywood. This all goes back to last Thursday. Melrose Park Police says 27-year-old Travion Taylor was shot at the Amazon garage on 5th Avenue. Police say the shooting stemmed from a domestic-related dispute involving another person who was with Taylor at the time. According to investigators, a physical fight broke out before the suspect allegedly pulled out a semi-automatic rifle and fired a few times, hitting Taylor in the back. Taylor was taken to Loyola Hospital, where he later died. Police arrested 20-year-old Quentin Williams Jr. of Maywood. Police say all of the people involved were Amazon employees. Terrence.
Black culture. Black OJ, Gus T. Renegade, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, June 11, 2026. So I have been told. We are back our regular slot. Last week, we were a day early and an hour early. We were Wednesday and 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific last week for lots of reasons, but back to our regular groove this week. Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Neutralizing Workplace Racism here at the C.O.W.S. Today's date, Thursday, June 11, 2026. So I have been told, not for spectators. If we have any black people who have figured out how to survive their shift safely, get through. You don't have any brawls. You don't have any arguments. I don't care how much money you lost on the finals. We are not going to have no shootout in the break room with our other black employees. If you have figured out, I make sure. Ain't going to be no arguments. I'm not going to choke nobody. They're not going to choke me out in the workplace. I'm not going to put a bullet in no black person before I get back to my residence. If you have figured out pretty consistently, hey, I get up, I go to work, I get home, safe. Ain't been no bloodshed, ain't been no fisticuffs, no pistols drawn, it was a peaceful day. Didn't even have no name calling. If you have figured out how to make that a consistent part of your workplace experience, speed dial the number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. We have to do like Maslow's hierarchy. Man, it would be great if we could just focus on getting that promotion you talked about, and opening up a business and entrepreneurship and all that sort of thing. We have to just do the basics. Can I get through the day without being shot? Can I get through the day without being choked out? We just have to do the basics. Once we can get that kind of under wraps, then we can get to promotion, raise, all that other good stuff that we talk about for the workplace. But for right now, just trying to avoid being choked out in the break room. If folks have if perhaps you have been the one threatened with, say something else and I'm going to get my hands on your throat. If you have been the one, I think that might be me to be choked out tomorrow. Let us know and we'll see if we can do our best to try to safety. We really want to emphasize safety in the workplace. Number to dial 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. That's it. The audio reports that we heard at the beginning for this week. The first report that we heard, now again, I'm in Seattle, in Washington State. Still lots of focus on the workplace disaster in Longview, which is a little bit south of Seattle in Washington State. Longview, the paper mill explosion from last week where 11 fatalities, many other injuries. The white liquor, talking about it's so dangerous and corrosive. Oh my, the white liquor. But I so appreciated in that report they were talking to a University of Washington expert about workplace safety, and they said, hey man, all workplace injuries should be treated as preventable. And they were talking in the context of this white liquor explosion. saying that the folks who run this plant, they should have already thought about all this. You know, we got this white liquor, highly dangerous substance, you know, could destroy a whole town. We got to think about this. What if the cylinder cracks or ruptures, or what do we do here? And what do we got to think about all this for workplace safety? And I would humbly submit that frequently you will find white people have really not invested the time and thought in what do we do if this happens? What do we do to make sure that this does not happen? What do we need to do to update to make sure that this doesn't happen? Frequently, white people, as they will say the metaphor, will cut corners in addressing those sort of safety concerns, and then you end up with something like this, particularly when it is a lot of dark people who are going to be the ones who die or are maimed in all the dangerous work. Now, you had a lot of white people here in Longview, Washington, because this is a super white region of the country geographically. But if it's going to be a lot of dark people, oh man, whatever to the safety regulations, like good riddance. You know, we didn't want them here anyway. So that's why I consistently say, often on your job, the black self-respect will be using your voice to speak up to make sure that you are in a safe work environment. Frequently, they put us in the most dangerous work environments possible, but that's frequently what your counter-racist voice and black self-respect will be needed to address. Safe, so I can get home, all 10 fingers, all 10 toes, haven't been strangled, haven't suffered a disaster from white liquor. Take your safety seriously, and safety in general in the workplace. Especially if you know you work in like a paper mill, have a dangerous job, firefighter, something like that. Woo, double emphasis on safety, especially your own personal. And that I would use that all workplace injuries should be treated as preventable. In fact, I might even add that to my code. If you work at a job and there's ever an injury in the workplace, or even a near injury, I might say, that might be time to ask a question. Do we need to address our safety code and procedures to make sure that we don't have any accidents like this in the future? That's just a question. Maybe we need additional training for the workers to make sure that everybody can remain safe here. That's just a question. And see what they say, because sometimes the answer to that question might be, yes, we do need additional training because you all are not doing the correct thing here. See, got to be careful with the white liquor. That might be the answer. The section, they talked about the prison medical staff not having adequate resources. They don't even have proper gloves. Reminded me of the Rona when it started, when they had lots of medical staff, not at prisons, were just widespread, not just at prisons per se, but lots of medical staff at that time saying that they didn't have PPP, personal protective gear and such, and gloves. They were wearing trash bags. Remember, they had lots of pictures of that sort of travesty, whatever you want to call it. But then medical staff at the hospital or at the prisons saying that they don't have latex gloves, that they have to use food service gloves in their stead. Like, wow. I mean, and that's what I mean. You might have to use your self-respect to address something like that. I know I'm not a nurse, I'm not a medical official, but I'm pretty sure that the gloves that they use to, dole out hash browns, that is not quite the same thing as when you might have to be handling blood, human bodily fluids, and all the rest of it. Like, what? That is not the same at all. And that's the sort of thing where we're going to have to speak up to say something about this, because that is absurd in every way, shape, form. And total disregard for the inmates, medical staff there, all of the above. It might even be a sinister way driving out medical staff so that the inmates, where it's going to be a lot of Leroys, have even less access to adequate medical attention. Have people like Mumia Abu-Jamal really suffering. I think Mumia got COVID back then too, and he struggled to get medical care. Double check me on that, make sure I'm not lying. The section on on medical professionals, they were talking about the President Trump, and they are adjusting the tiers. Now, they say it's so that we're not just going to allow these old money-grubbing colleges and such to just charge all this money and then have people graduate and they can't get jobs or have all these high loans because these basically colleges are just taking advantage and charging exorbitant fees. That's what Trump position is about all of this. You have people who are going through for degrees in careers, nursing, physician assistants or physician associates, going through for these degrees and saying, hey, if you lower this tier and say that you're not going to provide as much funding, not going to provide as much loans for students who are pursuing these careers, oh man, it might mean that you have fewer people who pursue nursing, physician assistants degrees. That might be, and maybe that's what they want. Have fewer doctors. If we're going to have more non-white people, have fewer doctors, fewer medical assistants. Maybe that's what is desired, especially non-white people who they know will have tougher access to funding and such. If you're classified as white, you'll have a lot of other alternatives to get this funding. But man, to leave that big gap there, I think they said the gap, if they lower that tier, would be about $37,000, maybe close to $40,000 approximately, if they lower the amount of loans that would be available. Why? And at a time where they say you have an aging population where you need more nurses and PAs and more medical professionals, why would we make it even more difficult? And again, it's going to be more non-white, just the math of the people being born and such. It would be more non-white nurses and PAs coming through. Maybe it's just, hey, we don't want to fund that. We're not even though it's going to be a lot of white people hurting behind that, because it means you won't have nobody there to change your bedpan out, give you that sponge bath. Let's see, the section in Louisiana where Governor Landry, they were talking about taking some of the money from the education budget to give the teachers to continue giving them their stipend. And they were talking about it's kind of willy-nilly in terms of the funding for teachers in the state of Louisiana, and that some of the, I guess they have parishes there instead of counties, some of the parishes where they can't pay as much, where they may pay a teacher $40,000, they leave and go to another parish where they can get twice that, $80,000, or what have you. That I would have to think, given our study of Katrina and everything else, it would be a lot of black children suffering there. It would be a lot of, I would suspect it would be a lot of the regions where it's lots of black children that end up with the very low salaries for the teachers and struggling to maintain staff, and staff is leaving and going to other places in the state where they can get double the salary and all that. That is about the way that I would expect all of that to work, and even for the black teachers to kind of be stuck and pulled at the bottom, where they're going to be in positions where they're not getting those big $80,000 salaries. You're going to have more of the black teachers who are going to be stuck at more of that $40,000, $45,000 salary position, and trying to see if they can get out and get to a better place. Just that would be my supposition. I'd have to dig into the details of it, but I know that could not be best for black students in a state where there's a long history, Ruby Bridges and beyond, but a long history of black students not doing well, and even black educators. That was one of the big, or I won't say big, but that did happen during Hurricane Katrina as well, that they used that as an excuse to let go of thousands of black educators in the New Orleans region at that time period. We talked about that on the broadcast with Katrina after the storm. Gary Levin, might go back double check to make sure I got his name correct, but we read his book back 2015, but talking about letting go of the black teachers right after Hurricane Katrina. So long track record of black students, black educators being abused, not cared for in Louisiana. Let's see, the section on, and they said when they did include that taking money or just adding money to the education budget so that they could provide teachers with their stipends so they can, stay put and we can do a better job taking care of children. They said that they have just added money to the budget for prisons. They said other things, and they mentioned specifically prisons. Now, I know my memory is not bad. Louisiana, the infamous Angola. So, yeah, we got to make sure we ain't going to let Angola go bankrupt. We ain't going to let them run out of nickels. Oh, no, we got to keep Leroy locked up. Talked about that during Hurricane Katrina as well. So we can add budget to keep black people locked up. We cannot, and it might even be if we added money to the education budget for the teachers or whatever else, maybe we don't need as much money to go to Angola. Maybe we don't have as many people locked up in Angola. Maybe. I'm talking crazy. Let's talk. Anyway, but that is Angola, Louisiana. Let's see. The EEOC, they again, Trump administration, so the possibility of not collecting racial classification. So when you go out, who got hired and who's in these different positions. I know they just in Chicago specifically, they've been doing an audit of different employment groups in Chicago to see, do you employ black people, non-white people, and particularly do you employ them in executive positions? That's the sort of audit that would not be possible if you don't have data on what are the racial classifications of the people who work here, white, non-white, and they specifically wanted to know black people as well. If you don't have any of that data, just, we don't keep all that. And that sort of tackiness, the way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discrimination. That is total deliberate lie. The problem is not discrimination on the basis of race. The problem is the practice of white supremacy. That's what we need to get rid of. And so-called we're just not going to collect information about racial classifications. White people do that all the time. See, that's another part of the lie, especially when we get to hiring. Like, oh my God, it's so much data on the insidious ways, even if they don't write it down that you're white. I mean, it's so much data on just alone. When white people, when you put down a name that doesn't really convey, like if I gave you a name, Leroy, Lakeisha, Obama, you already have that in your brain computer, Negra. Might be one of them illegal Negras, pretend Negras, but Negra. Now, if you get a name like Clarence, I don't know, Todd, Lee, and they've had that in workplace scenarios all the time where you just put your resume in and they don't collect that information about white, black, none of that's on there. It's just everything is real race neutral. You went to school and GPA and you just went to a state school, or you went to Ivy League. Hey, they do have a few dark people there, so you went to Ivy League or wherever you went to school at. Boom, 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 boom. Nothing there would signify race. And then you show up and they say, oh my goodness, man, this Todd fella at Phi Beta Kappa and valedictorian and GPA and boy, and he gonna be great. And then you walk in and say, hey, Todd, oh man. My fault, Todd. Position is filled. Sorry about that, Todd. We just got confused. Sorry about that. Yep. Sorry about that. Yeah. What in the world? I thought Todd was what God is a nigger and did you know Todd? They got like racks of, serious scholarly studies of that sort of thing happening for decades. Got confused, the name, or even sometimes the phone, before Zoom and all that, where we talked on the phone and everything. And they, I guess, don't have all that, what you know, daddy, and get that. They don't talk like they just, yes, no, sir, yes, ma'am. And, okay, could be a white person, all right, white woman, whatever. And then you get that, you look like Oprah's cousin. Ugh. No, positions, yeah, we can't say. So, all of that to say, like, white people are constantly, ain't nobody colorblind, ain't nobody ignorant. White people are constantly... White people are hyper vigilant about racial classifications. So just saying that we're going to stop checking that box per se, or what have, we're just going to stop collecting that data for employment purposes, that does not, and I mean, that's even, I would say, laughable. It's not even that. That is a deliberate lie to even suggest, or I can't even say it's a lie to end racism, because she didn't say this is about ending racism. She didn't say that at all. She said about stopping so-called discrimination, whatever that means. Let's see. We had the segment quickly about the promotions in the workplace and so-called promotion killers. I had not heard that before, in terms of things that will stop you from getting a promotion. Overextending yourself, meaning every time that they come to you, say, hey, Leroy, we got a project, and, you might have to work the weekend, and I know, summertime and all that good stuff, and graduation coming up, and Father's Day and all that. You got a dad? Anyway, but we know we got important things coming up. But, if you want to work this Saturday, or maybe all the Saturdays for this June, that'd be great. Say, oh, sure, I'll do it. Okay. And then they come back next time around and say, hey, look, July, we got an extra project. Be great. You think you could work all the Sundays for July? You say, sure, I'll do it. Great, no problem. And they come back for August and say, hey, we got overtime shift. You might have to come in and work double time on all the Fridays. So that means you come in Friday morning at 6 a.m. You have to work until midnight. Technically, that'd be Saturday morning. But that's what you have to do for all your Fridays for August. I know we messed up your whole summer, but I mean, hey, you willing to do that? Sure. Do it. And they said, you're overextending yourself. See, you're not going to be able to do your best and really exemplify your true value to the company if you just always, yes. Got to put boundaries down. Oh, no. I would have never thought of it. Even I had to process that, because I was like, wow, does that work? If you, in a system of white supremacy, if you're classified as black or even non-white, does it still apply? Set those boundaries. You do not want to be the black person who just, oh yeah, I'll do it. And in fact, it would be better for your career. Wow, this nigger knows how to set boundaries. Peculiar nigger. We keep him around. Give him a promotion. Does that work? I had not heard that one before. I mean, it makes logical sense, but generally, for victims of racism, I hear the other way, that you have to, oh yeah, I got to do it. They're going to let me go. Last hired, first fired. Oh yeah, I got to do it. But that is one I have to think about. And maybe if you have employed that, boundaries. I want to make sure that I can give you my best performance at all times, so I'm going to have to turn that one down. I don't think I would be able to work the double overtime shift or work all the Saturdays for the month of July, because I think I would be on fumes by the end of it. So, yeah, I'm going to have to decline that one. Thank you for thinking of me, and I'm definitely going to keep giving my best to the team. I'll ponder on that one. The last two, I can only say, it's been a full year now. We're June. It's been a full year of Gus T saying, the pattern that I'm seeing is violence in the workplace, where it's black employees are violent with other black employees. That's the pattern that I'm seeing in a system of white supremacy racism. Dr. Kanban talked about how we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned not to attack white people, racists, the people who are most to blame. We are conditioned to attack the people who need the most help, the most vulnerable, other black people like us. And that apparently is playing out in the workplace. I started noticing this about a year ago. I've been talking about it and saying, wow, I did not grasp that this is a part of a greater problem. This is not just anti-blackness, a little bit anti-blackness, or a little bit of the dozens, a little bit of Negro culture in the workplace. Like, this is a serious problem. Black people, that's black culture, be in conflict with black people. Curse black people. Show contempt for black people. Argue and fight with black people. Call black people. That's our culture. We love that. We look forward to that. That's entertainment for us, really. And we take all that into the workplace. I just did not grasp, like, this is kind of a big problem. Something that would even, I'd say, should have to be talked about in terms of neutralizing workplace racism. Like, minimizing conflict with other black people on the job, making sure you do not have no brawls, melees, shootouts with other black people on the job. Maybe, especially if these are black people that you knew before you all started working this job, where we might be really familiar, maybe too familiar, and how we talk to each other in the workplace and talking about things that have nothing to do with the job. Like, man, for that alone, for black people alone, we are not discussing anything not related to the job. I don't care about the new side piece that you got. Get out of here. I don't want to hear about no gossip. I don't want to hear about how much money you done lost on the finals. Get out of here. I don't talk about nothing but the job. Now, even that, one of the reports, you still might get choked out. That's true. But I'm trying to minimize, because there's been too many of these. We done heard where somebody then got stabbed and shot and ran over with the car about, you fired me, or you cut my hours short. We've heard all that. We've also heard a lot of these that are just about how much. I know you lost your money on the finals, didn't you? I know you had bet on them for the sweep. I know you did. It's that sort of thing. Don't you be talking about, that sort of things that did not need to be discussed at all. At all. We could have been quiet all day long. Everybody would have kept their job. Police wouldn't have been called. We could have went on our merry way. That's what I would advise. Gus T, I keep saying, like, man, all the shootouts and fisticuffs, a lot of this stuff, man, I'm going to keep my mouth closed. I talk in the meetings. I ask questions about work-related subject matter, new projects, new promotional opportunities, training related to the job. I ask questions. I speak. Morning, Helen. Morning, Todd. Afternoon, Clarence. I speak to everyone. Greetings. Evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it is, but I do not hang out and just chit-chat, gossip, rumor, none of that, none, and get a reputation. I just talk about the job. For years, I've said it the same way. I would do this if you work with white people, if you worked with all black people who have 8 great-grandparents who were all born in Georgia. It would not change at all. In particular, if you work with all black people, like, oh man, if this is any indication, for sure, we're just talking about the job. I'm not making no type of assumptions that you all are about anything constructive. I'm not making no assumptions that you all are interested in counter racism. Talking about none of that. Just the job. You trying to talk about nothing? We just keep it on the job. If we're not talking about the job, muted. Now, this does not excuse you completely. Like I said, this is to minimize. That first report, you had the employee at McAlister's, which is another establishment I've never heard of, but McAlister's in Missouri, which is right down the road from where Chauncey Meekins, black female, was shot and killed at the Steak and Shake over onion rings. Anyway, they said at the McAlister's, they said that Javon Mallory, privileged black male, wanted the promotion at McAlister's and he didn't get it. Female got the promotion, slams the door closed, says, I'm going to get you, and goes to choke her to death. Now, I don't know the racial classification of this young lady. Thankfully, she survived, so this is not a fatal situation. But, man, I have a hard time. It totally could be a white woman. It totally could be. Totally could be. I have a hard time believing that a black male, Javon Mallory, even with a history of choking people, that a black male grabbed a white woman around her throat to choke her to death. Totally could have been. Totally could have been. Maybe Dr. Campbell, he said that sometimes that self-respect switch gets flicked on correctly and we recognize the enemy. Maybe. I have a hard time thinking that that's what it, particularly over promotion. I suspect this might have been a black female that he grabbed. Trial will come. This person survived, so maybe they will show, the victim will get to come and get her day in court so we can find out, was this a black person that he choked to death? But, man, that right there, all workplace injuries should be treated as preventable. I would even have some questions for the company because they said this person has a history, had done time for choking people before. Man, might end up, I bet if this is the case, I would follow. I bet you it's going to be a lawsuit for the company. You hired this person, they got a record for choking people? Like, what? Like, what? And then what sort of safety precautions did you take to make sure that employees would be safe? I bet you McAlister's going to get sued in this too, man. We have to see all that. And was the victim that was choked, was the victim a black person? I'm very curious to see. Like I said, it would still be a workplace safety issue regardless. But, oh, man, I'd be willing to put down a few nickels. This was a black female that he choked. I would show that to, everybody, black females, black males. I would show that in the workplace. Wow. And it's just everything about that, the logic of that. If a white person had got this promotion, a black person didn't, that's what's supposed to happen. I think that might have even been a part of the race, that they gave this to another nigger. You going to give it to this nigger woman, and I didn't get it. I bet I put $100. That's what it was. I put $100 down. This was not a white person. I do not think it would have been that sort of good, because that's every day. Like, oh my God, we have seen that about 1 billion times. You didn't get the job. This white person got it. I mean, really. I put $100 down. It was a black female. We got two. Violence in the workplace. So we got a black male choking a black female. Cheating, sorry. Black male choking a female victim. We do not know the racial classification for sure. That happened in Missouri. And then we got Quentin Williams. Now, the Quentin Williams situation, this is in Illinois. I was going to say I don't know the victim, but incidentally, Quentin Williams, privileged black male, 20 years old. That stood out to me for many reasons. One, just Chauncey Meekins, who I just mentioned, shot to death in Missouri over onion rings. She was shot and killed by a 20-year-old black female. 20. Can't even legally buy Mad Dog. So Quentin Williams, 20, pulls out a semi-automatic rifle and shoots an Amazon coworker in Illinois. Now, I said, I didn't know the victim, white, non-white, until I looked at the name a few times and I said, I'm going to put down $100 that this victim is a black male. So we got $100 down two ways. Quentin Williams is accused of pulling out his semi-automatic rifle and shooting Amazon employee 27-year-old Travion Taylor. I would be willing to put down $100 that Travion is not the legal name of a white man in this case. I could be totally wrong and would be willing to cough up $100 if I am, but I suspect that this is a black male shooting another privileged black male coworker, which we've seen before. This is the one where they allegedly got into some sort of argument, personal argument over whatever. We've heard this one a bunch. Now, this is where the big-time emphasis on what I just said. Hey, man, they talk about the ugly truth. You want to use that old tacky verbiage. Black people do not like black people. You got to keep that in mind. We cannot be all chummy and pal just because we work together. Morning. Zip it. Have a good day today. Good to see you, sir. Zip it. Generally speaking, we go beyond 5 minutes. I got to call your name. I got to curse at you. You old no, look at them shoes you got. I can't believe they hired you shoes looking like that. Last time you combed your hair, we got to. That's black culture. We love that. Now, I would even be willing to wager. What you willing to wager, Gus T? I'd be willing to wager if old Travion Taylor was a white man. You pick any white man. You pick an elderly white man. You pick a young white man. You pick an elderly white woman, a young white woman, a trans white woman, a trans white man, a disabled white man, wheelchair white man. You pick. There would not have been no shootout at all. If this had been Quentin Williams, other white people, it would not have been. We got into some sort of personal dispute, and I had to pull out my pen. This started, they got into a physical altercation. Are you serious? Are you out of your Quentin, 20-year-old Quentin, he going to get in a grappling match with a white person on the job? And then pull his pistol out and shoot him? Her? Them, actually. Quentin is accused of having shot 2 coworkers. He just killed poor Travion, but he apparently shot 2 coworkers. I humbly submit, this is black culture. I said last year, we talk about workplace racism all the time. I'm going to tell you, cousins, I have never, to get these reports, went and searched black on black crime in the workplace for this week. I don't do that. Sometimes listeners will send me a few. Listeners sent me a few of these. Hat tip, much obliged. It'll just be checking the news. I'm like, oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. That sort of thing. I don't find any of black people. That's what I'm saying. I don't find reports in a system of white supremacy racism where white people terrorize us on the job all the time. I don't find no reports of black people flipped out, grabbed a white person on the job and choked him. White, you don't do the cracker. Who do you think you are? I don't find no reports of that. Anywhere in the world. They don't have reports like that. Certainly not on a regular basis. It's tons of reports. You heard it. It ain't even got to be that I didn't get the job. It ain't even got to be that I didn't get the promotion. We just had, like I said, some of this sounds like how much money you done lost on the finals. You didn't think Wemby was going to get it, did you? I told you, boy, that French one. And what you done said, boy, nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's why I said, man, you're on the workplace. I'm not telling you to be mum. I say all the time, the only thing to discuss is the job. Now, you getting strangled because you got the promotion and they didn't. That's, something different. We just have to talk about that as a different mechanism. That's a little different. But, man, we just got into some sort of brawl because we were talking, somebody brought up Obama and I got to defend Michelle's honor. What? No. That is a big one. You have to just talk about that honest from the beginning. All that anti-blackness, all the years that they have paraded the dozens and name calling and being discourteous to other black people, this shows up in how we behave on the job all the time. This is why we had the black supervisor at the post office. The other black people, I'm not going to listen. Who do you think you are? Nigger, you're not my supervisor. You don't tell me what to do. Who do you think you are? Nigger, you're not in charge of nothing. Nah. That sort of thing. That's why you have that sort of conduct. You have to prepare for that, because that sort of thing can, that right there that we just talked about a few weeks ago, that can devolve into a shootout in the parking lot. Or I got to go and bust you upside the head when we come in tomorrow morning. All of that. You just have to prepare for that and even kind of expect. Anti-blackness is a massive component. Dr. Wells used to talk about black self-respect has been annihilated. The way that we treat and think about other black people, it is repugnant, and it shows up in the workplace all the time. What are the strategies to neutralize that behavior so I don't end up feeling like I got to go and strangle this black person, bop this black person upside the head, this black person is going to get their rifle and kill me. What can I do to minimize that? Hey, we're not going to do all that reckless jocularity. I don't do none of that. I don't do none of that. I don't hang out in the break room with the black people. I don't hang out. When do all the black people take lunch and go? I don't do none of that. Don't you come talking to no gossip. Did you know that they were going out? Who? I have no interest in hearing any of that. Please do not ever come to share any of that sort of detailed conversation with me, please. And I would say it in just that way, firm, right to the point. You don't have to curse the person or be nasty, but make it firm. I have no interest in hearing. Don't even come and bring any of that energy conversation to me. That is not my interest at all. Promotions, let's talk it up. New project, let's talk it up. They open a new facility, let's talk it up. Talk rumors and all this. That. I have no, and if it doesn't relate to the job, I can't say that enough either. If it does not relate to the job, this is not I just want to come and talk about what we're going to do on summer vacation and the family reunion and all of that stuff. Even that, you don't have to be as nasty. I mean, that can be one where you just go to the restaurant. Excuse, that's great and everything. Hope you have a great time. I got to go to the restroom real quick. But even that, I am not interested in sitting around and just talking about nonsense, because that opens the door to come and talk about, let me tell you about my little side piece who's going to be coming. We're going to the beach for that. Only the job. Just the job. That helps to mitigate all of that extracurricular and conflict and even the energy that people bring when they come to talk to you. Oh, that's that old nigger guy. He's square, he don't want to talk about nothing. We can't talk about, we're going to do in the final. We went to the strip club this weekend. He old square, he just talking about the job and talking about the job. That's right. Ain't even gonna say nothing. You come over and try and talk to something, ain't got to say, they go to the bathroom. That's it. You got to go to the bathroom, drink all that water, huh? Yep. Code is code. I would take that super serious, because it's way, and it might just be system of white supremacy racism. Dr. Welsing said, as racists increase their abuse and mistreatment of non-white people, our kind of default response is we take it out, lash out on other black people. So this might be a product of that. I'm not sure. But at any rate, I have seen a lot over the past year. It seems to be an increase, these sort of situations, black coworkers being violent with other black coworkers. Man, be alert, be codified, take all safety precautions on your job. That's why I said, too, I would add in another of these cases, people are bringing firearms to the job. That's why I said, too, I would ask, because they said Quentin Williams, 20 years old, he had a semi-automatic rifle. Like, woo-wee. Is that's legal? Is that allowed? At the Amazon Workhouse, you can have your semi-automatic rifle in your vehicle on the premises? If you have the correct paperwork, you can have your concealed carry. You can have your firearm on your hip in the workplace. That's why I said, we should ask, like, hey, it's been enough of these cases. You should at least know that policy for your job. Am I working with a lot of people where, I don't know, 10%, 15% of these people might have a firearm on their hip right now? Am I working someplace where half of the employees, they might have a semi-automatic rifle in their trunk right now? You want to know that sort of thing, like, ooh-wee, you talk about being quiet before. Woo! I'm going to have even less to say. Again, I'm not saying being mum, but whew, you definitely not going to get the mouthy version of Gus T. If that is the case, that hey, he didn't violate no policy. You can legally have a semi-automatic rifle in the trunk of your vehicle as an Amazon employee. Whew. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. I'm for sure going to be muted a whole lot of the time I'm in your warehouse. Keep my eyes peeled, mouth closed. Eyes peeled, mouth closed. I'd have a reputation for that. Eyes peeled, mouth closed. Head on a swivel, as they say. But you should ask that question. Is that allowed? Can we have a firearm here? Oh, my goodness. Ooh. 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 That would be another reason we are never, and I mean never, going to discuss politics or even sports in the workplace. Oh, my God. People got all kinds of gambling addictions and everything now. Somebody be done lost this month's mortgage payment or whatever. They about to go into foreclosure because of the damn San Antonio Spurs. Oh, my Lord. We are never discussing politics, sports in the work. But I done got shot because I done teased somebody about their DraftKings losses, and now they got to go get their semi-automatic pistol. Man. We just going to talk about the workplace. And then, like I said, that doesn't totally, because they still might get you if they think you got the promotion, and I didn't. But we're just trying to minimize as best we can. If folks have any tips minimizing violence in the workplace, please share. Now, I guess I'll add, too, if folks have any experience, because this is the pattern. Black people being violent with other black people in the workplace. Have people, especially over the last year, have people observed this? Experience? Have you participated in this? Have you dropped an elbow smash on one of your black coworkers over the past year? Let us know. You can write in as well if you want to be ambiguous. It might not. That also is not, I guess, something to brag about if you did put an elbow smash on one of your black coworkers. But you can be anonymous. Let us know. 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. For folks who do not have a phone, you can always use the free VOPE dialer. It works just like a phone. It's linked on all the social media apps and such. Plug in the same number and code I just provided. Let's see. I'll double check, see if we have folks who dialed in, and I'll read our emails as well, especially if we have any folks with tips for minimizing violence with other violence, period. But man, the pattern that I've observed is black people being violent with other black people in the workplace. That's the pattern. Oh man. Woo. Be alert. Do the best that you can to minimize all of that. Minimize conflict. Let's see. Bay Area mom should be with us. Line should be open.
Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Greetings to you. Thank you for taking my call. Who are you going to? Oh, did you ask if the caller has ever had some kind of like fight or physical or verbal confrontation at work with a black person?
Yes, ma'am, particularly over the past 12 months. If you've participated or observed that sort of thing, yes, ma'am.
Well, yeah, I observe it. Yeah, especially at my school because we're, Oogling. So, yeah, one of the black staff, well, she's from Sudan, but she's still, I guess she's black. So she's still black. She's very spicy, and she's always ready to rumble. Just maybe a month before school was out, she had a issue with a parent that came up there asking why she was yelling and putting her finger in her child's face. And, it turned into a whole thing, and she had charged into the door to do whatever to her, and then the teachers had to pull her back. This one black teacher, the one she works with, pulled her back, and I think the lady from the front office, Spanish lady, she pulled her back or pushed her in. However, they were keeping her away from the mom. And the same lady, I saw her the year before, getting into it with this parent that came up there to fight another parent. So she's trying to break it up, and then they got into it. So it just, yeah. So I've seen just working, yeah. So yeah, yes. And then even in that dating arena, it was this girl that was there, and she was interested in the one of the teachers there, and she got mad at him because I don't know what kind of attention she wanted, but she wasn't getting the attention that she wanted, and threw a water bottle at him, and then he came and reported her, and I was in there when he was reported that she threw a water bottle at him. So, yes. Workplace racism for me. So this is the first week of no school. School was over on a week ago was the last day of school. So I came back Monday. The children came back Tuesday. I think some people in the camp maybe came back Monday. But summer school started on Tuesday for me. Just in the midst of it all, I'll see in July who would come back, who's coming back. There's a little switcheroo so there's all new principals. Well, one lady there's one vice principal, two vice principal, a new one, fourth grade teacher, but now she's the vice principal, two. Sheree, which used to be the principal, but now she's going to be the vice principal, and the one who used to be the vice principal, the queer lady, she took her spot. So the lady wasn't even going to come back, the one that was the principal that's now vice principal, but the white lady finessed her into staying. And I know one of the reasons are because she don't have all her credentials to be a principal, but the black lady does. So, and, they're so friendly, so she, befriend this lady, and it'll make it look a little more blacker so she doesn't lose her black staff because it's all white and queer. Because all the staff members, there's two queer or homosexual or LGBTQ, and then one married white person and one married black person. So I guess it would, I don't know what the plan is in this white lady's, system, but something's brewing. So I'm going to move. So the little boy with his office is moving after summer school because he came to summer school. So he's been in summer school, so we've been in his office. But his office moves to another area in the school. So he doesn't know it yet. I'm going to tell him. And the person whose place he's taking over she doesn't know that she's moving to his old office, which used to be her office before. So we'll see how that goes over. And then the vice principals are going to have that room where the boy used to be, the big boy. He's going to have that room. I mean, they're going to have that room. They're going to share that room. And I guess the mental health clinician lady, she's sick, though. She's been off for 5 months, and she's up there today just packing her stuff up. And I told her when I got there tomorrow, at some point, I'll roll her rugs up because what that lady, 80-some years old? No. So, and she's at cancer, so she's got either radiation or chemo or something she got going on. And no. So you just pack up whatever you got. I'll put it wherever you used to put it every other year. I'll do it when I get back. And she's moving out of there anyway, so I just want to make sure she label all her little stuff. So, because it's got to get out of there anyway, because this is going to be this boy's room. So, but she's not lifting nothing, none of that foolishness. She had a friend come up in there to help her, because I can't help her because I'm at work. I can do so much, so I can get me and my little guy that I have, because we're in summer school, so I'll spend the time with him, because I want him to enjoy the school experience versus somebody trying to force him to do what the other children in class are doing, because that's what happened on the first day when he got there. It was crazy. So anyway, I did what I could do with the lady, like, get her boxes started, and I had a little boy come in there with me. He's like, oh, my God, sit up, please. So we taped. I did about 6 boxes and taped them at the bottom so she can just start putting stuff in the boxes. And then I guess at some point her friend came, an older lady, though. So she had texted me and asked if I had some little juice boxes, or something to drink. So I had some little juice boxes, and I just came and brought it to her. But I'm just sharing that because she was one of the older ladies that was there, and nobody else. I'm going to do what I can to help however I can help. So there. And then the other gentleman, he came to help thereafter and stuff like that, and then confirmed that I could, or that she didn't have to do that traditional closeout. That she just let us, label her little boxes. It would get done. So that was that. He's the head of operations, so he can make that call, and he did, and it was great. So, what I'm learning is for summer school. So they said that they were giving too many services to special education children. So they got a new director where I am, and this new director over special education said that they cut a lot of the qualifications for the children to go to summer school, and a lot of children didn't get to qualify for summer school that needed summer school. So, but they have a whole lot of adults there. It's like one adult for each kid, which is excessive. Too much, actually. I don't know why they do that. But I've noticed that there's children that need summer school that are like in the after school, like maybe the summer camp, but they needed to be in summer school. So I don't know how it'll work next year. I don't know what numbers or data or what will happen to show maybe how ineffective that was, and maybe they would be able to get the services so they could retain the information when they come back to school. I don't know. It's interesting. But as I stated, we're just trying to see I'm literally probably the only one just trying to see how I'm going to get this 4th grader, he's now in 4th grade, ready for middle school, because this is his last year. And I told myself that I wasn't, not with the children that I'm with, I'm not going to coast them along. I'm going to put as much effort as I can into making sure that they can function, because they didn't transition the children that were in special education last year. They didn't transition them well, and they ended up in NPS school. So let me see. How many was it? 3? I think 3 ended up in NPS schools. Graduate, boop, see you later. One of them was straight from middle school. One principal said before, the lady that said before she left, she was going to make sure he wasn't there. That was a gift she was giving whoever the teachers are. So that he ended up going to the non-public school the last day of school. And the other little girl, she ended up in a one of those schools the next day after graduation. And then the young man, the one that was like 100 and some odd pounds, he catches like a kid Uber to school, but they said this summer he's getting out of the seatbelt and the harness to bother the driver and grab their hair. So I said, one of the directors from special education came and talked to me about it, and I just said, well, you might have to have somebody that's trained ride with them, but the district doesn't want to pay for it because they already have to pay for this school that he's going to because they're just taking in a lot of kids that the school can't accommodate, and then you want to get them out, well, you got to pay. So we'll see what kind of year we have with this new white structure and the old principal getting finesse out of her spot. I'm not saying it like that, like as if she didn't have pressure from the position that she inherited, but nobody helped her. It was just as if, okay, that's your job, deuces. So, or maybe not deuces. See you later. Bye. I got other things to do, anything to do. So she had a lot. I don't know. But then I thought it was neat how the lady was able to get her to stay. So, because she was telling me that, I just kept asking her, would you please just stay? Could you stay and help me? And she did. And I just feel like we're just best friends and we're just so close and I just love our friendship. And, I'm just going to try to do this and this. So it's just going to be, she's really going to put a lot of pressure on this lady to make her look relevant. It's going to be interesting. I got to watch it. And I'm just looking at the school to prison pipeline of it all, just the whole design. It just seems like that's how this school is operating. And I don't know, it's certain children that they have a lot of surveillance, and they use the paraeducators to surveil the children that they may be afraid of or fear, will interfere with the normal routine. And they just don't have a good behavioral system. So it's just a mess. And then just keep them calm and just give them what they want and keep them out of class. A lot of them don't want to be in class because we're in elementary school, and that era of children, they had that the pandemic and then the loss of school, and then going back in school, and then you're in that mask and 6 feet over here, however that was until it wasn't. So they're not socialized the same. So their behaviors are different, but nobody's operating like that, and they're getting dumber, and their attention span is shorter, and their behaviors are not very good, and they're becoming more violent. And it doesn't look like there's a good plan in place except for just sending them off to the next phase or sending them off to some other kind of school and then moving in positions to get higher pay and different assignments. So I will mute my line, and thank you for taking my call.
I guess that's the plan. Like, we just warehouse them someplace else, and then we get more money, which is odd because I thought you get more money when you do like quality work. Like if this context, quality work, I could be ignorant. I'm not an educator. But in this context, I would think doing quality work would be like the children show an improvement in behavior, or an improvement in test scores, or an improvement in reading comprehension, like, see, or even an improvement in behavior. It's like, see, or maybe the little fella, he weighed 170 pounds. Now we got that down to 130. See, progress, raise. Hey, that's what I would, not, Leroy done got worse. Now he weighs 190 pounds. They're more violent. They're not reading better. They're worse. Raise. I think he about to go to prison. Bonus. That might be the plan. And she said that repeatedly. Like, these are not dumb people, right? These are the folks, the white educated. Even some of them have said, hey, man, I have a master's. Don't you talk to me like I'm some dumb, ignorant person. And then they'll say, hey, name a letter that starts with the letter N. I said, knife. I'm smart. But if they'll tell you quickly, we are very smart. We have lots of degrees. We spent tens of thousands of dollars getting college credits and all kinds of fancy titles behind our name, classified as white, most of these people, ain't got no plan for nothing. I thought that's the point of going to getting all that schooling. What are we going to do with little Leroy? How are we going to make his life better and get him reading and all that? We ain't got no plan for that. Put him in the quiet room. Put him in the cell back there and give him some of them sweet rolls. There we go. She said, in the midst of all of that, she said that she has seen many incidents of black people being hostile and violent with other black people in the workplace. She works at the school. She said immediately, it won't even know, well, let me think, Gus T. No, it was immediately. Oh, yeah. I'd have seen a whole bunch of black people being nasty and violent and hostile with other black people at the school. That's black culture. And then when she started recounting, I was like, oh man, she has shared a bunch of these with us. I remember that when she told us about she got the water bottle, pow, you can get no attention, what's wrong with you? That is, I mean, some places that would be simple assault. And I mean, at minimum, in front of the children, that's black. Even pause. She just said, the children are not making improvements. The behavior has gotten worse. Staff being violent with other staff in front of us, that's not helping. She said, and she gave a few others of the staff being, and she said the parent coming in, Sudanese mother. I think she would definitely be black. I guess some people say that's got these old pretend black people, see. But I think she'd be a black person. I guess she doesn't have the 8 great grandparents born in Georgia if she's born in the Sudan. But she comes, but it's same behavior. Now that's one I would have to, man. So if all of these were white people, would she have behaved the same way? I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. But I know being white, even in the Sudan, that does mean something. Anywho, but she said the parent came and they had to intervene and separate her. Now, I've heard that part of that is real familiar. I guess the Sudanese part is slight wrinkle, but most of that, oh yeah, I've heard that before. They get the stats. Sometimes they get Officer Slam to come and put the body slam on the parent, especially if it's an unruly black male trying to come in here and pretend you're going to be a parent after you ain't paid no child support in 15 years. You're going to come in here and get loud? Huh. They put the elbow smash on Leroy, pretend dad real quick, and then they bar you from being on the premises and all that old stuff, which they may have done to her. The portion about the helping the elderly staff member who's having some medical conditions, bravo for that. She said she could even come in and get some of the students to come in and help move some of the stuff around. Bravo, trying to helping people who need the most help. Appreciate that. I was thinking that the school year probably just ended out there because it's pretty much wrapped up out here in Washington State. She said last week school year ended, so they're about to do summer camp now and all that good stuff. Incidentally, we just had that report where they were talking about there is a massive gap in terms of the impact of the children who get to do activities like that, the summer camp, summer jobs, and the children who miss out on those programs. She noted the staffing number where I think she said, unless I didn't hear it correctly, I think she said the ratio was 1-to-1 staff to student, which I have never heard. Like, wow, that's woo. I mean, I guess, hey, if you need the extra attention, like, wow, that is, you should get lots of undivided attention. But I've never heard of a ratio that high. It seemed like you could have maybe, I don't know, maybe added an extra student or two so they could have enjoyed some of those constructive benefits for the summertime. But again, I'm not an educator. And then we've also heard that consistently with the school year. In fact, she's talked about that even leading up to the end of this school year in terms of the transition for the students, their reading comprehension, behavior, even potential vulnerability to vaping. She's talked about all of that and saying, man, what's the plan to make sure these children are ready if they're going to be going to middle school and blah, 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 and all that. Ain't no plan. Just the plan is I'm going to get this raise. Plan is I'm going to advance my career. And I've seen a lot of that too in terms of education, in terms of white women educators. They'll do some slumming for like 2 years, 3 years. And while they're doing this, they'll get all of their like student loans paid, or if they have to do continuing education to go get their master's or whatever they're trying to do, they'll get all that paid while they're slumming, not helping any of these children, might even be doing, God knows, practicing racism or whatever else while they're there. And then they can move on to, teach someplace cool or whatever they want to do, go get superintendent's job and all that old nonsense, like a whole industry of this for a long time. And then the students have not benefited at all, have been totally used to fund, really, to subsidize racist white women's education and career. Much obliged, Bay Area mom. Kudos helping out some of the elder staff, children too, but man, tacky through and through. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, non-Clemson grad, tumbling dice, Mama C should be with us as well.
Good evening. Can I be heard?
Non-Clemson grad, yes, sir.
So let's see. I got a couple of things to report. Speaking of schools not being able to pay teachers in South Carolina, there has been a recent streak of theft of gasoline from buses. Guess it's a good thing that school's out. This is aside from catalytic converters being stolen off of buses before the school semester ended, meaning schools couldn't pick up kids to school and parents had to adjust to get their kids to school. Transportation is one of the biggest expenses for school districts as they operate the biggest bus fleets, bigger than public transit, to get kids to school. And because it's necessary, school programs like music and art get cut to avoid cuts to bus fleet services. Speaking of promotions, I applied for another director position outside my organization. I almost didn't apply. Whether they called me back, we'll see. As my sister said, you're miserable where you are. Go be miserable for more money elsewhere. Through the years, I've worked hard, been proactive in seeking work, seeking to help. It has not resulted in promotions or raises. This is going back to that earlier little story I heard in the broadcast. So at this point, I simply do my job. I don't volunteer for extra nor help people when they ask for help, and I'm not quick to say yes to anything unless I see a benefit to me. So last week, I asked my manager to go to a leadership development conference. He initially said no, as leadership development is outside of my job description. After some thought and conferring with ChatGPT, I sent an email to my boss and asked, if leadership development is considered outside my current responsibilities, what opportunities exist inside or outside this organization to gain leadership experience? My manager responded, it's not that leadership development is outside your responsibilities. It's that leadership development at this scale is too much when you already had a large trip this year. Even for managers, leadership development is more of an extra thing. He asked me if I did the county's leadership program. I said no. Ironically, I guess my manager forgot that last year during my requested career development meeting, he and a department administrator said they would recommend me for the county's leadership program. Also, they said because I went to a conference, I said that part right. I also asked for a leadership conference. I'll simply ask for the leadership conference next year. I decided I'll no longer do technical conferences. As my former fired black female director and sister said, you have done enough to build your technical skills. You need leadership opportunities. Going to leadership conferences won't help me to get opportunities, but it's an opportunity to network and find opportunities elsewhere while getting trained in actual leadership. And with that, I'll mute my line.
I love it. I love it. Well, I do not love stealing gasoline from the school buses. I do not love it. Like, that is lowest of the low. I mean, wow. What? Stealing gas from the school buses? I mean, I know gas is really, really high. I'm in Washington State. It's been well over $5 a gallon. I get it, but I mean, dang. Come on. Dare I say, white people do not care about children. Now, I don't know who did this, thieving from the buses and such. And there are a lot of black people who live in South Carolina, so maybe it was them. But, wow, that is... what to say? I did not know that about the size of the school bus fleets being even larger than the city bus fleets. I guess there are a lot of children, a lot of schools, and yeah, I guess that I would not have thought that, but I guess you do have a lot of children, a lot of schools, middle school, elementary, and yeah, after school programs and all that stuff. Yeah. So I guess that is a matter. You got tumbling dice here, so I guess that is a massive expense to operate all of the busing for all of that. I do think it is super constructive. One, we will send our prayers for what it's worth, warm wishes. Hopefully he'll get the director position that he applied for. More dollars, more experience. Love it. We'll do our part. But I think it is super constructive in not letting racists beat you down, where he said just being miserable there and not being allowed opportunities, and seeing white people who are not as qualified get opportunities and leadership roles and all of that. Do not be discouraged. Keep on plugging away and see if I can get, even if it's at a different organization. Love it. And certainly the same thing we've said before for other folks who have applied to a different organization while they're still working someplace else. Certainly keeping it on the hush all the way through. Even if you get the job, hopefully it'll happen and they'll, quadruple your salary. Even then, stealth valedictorian mode. Nothing to go around and brag, because we've seen white people sabotage and might even be relatives to the folks that you're applying to. So stealth mode for sure, but sending good energy and hoping for the best. Quadruple that salary. And equally not being discouraged, applying for different roles and applying for different training and leadership opportunities. White people hate it. Seeing some Negro dude coming in here, I want to be a leader. You killing, you choking me, you choking. Leader, you get to clean the toilet, take out the trash. You talking about being a leader. Sending you no leadership. He said, we already sent you to the leadership conference. We already did it. We're not wasting no more money on you. And he said, well, wait a minute. That was, you all said you were going to send me to the conference. You said you were going to do all that. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. We didn't even say that. And you already went. See, trying to be greedy and go get all the leadership training. Get this trash can. How about that? Leave that. Leadership conference. And he said, I love it. Even then, he said, well, I'll just apply next year. Love it, love it, love it. Be not discouraged. And even I would say it is constructive, I think. Expect them to practice racism and say no. Even, like he said, they told me, yeah, we want you leadership opportunities. We want you to do local management opportunities and all that. Even then, expect them to say no. I'm not. It would be shocking if they said yes. Have a good time. Learn as much as you can. It would be shocking in a system of racism if they said that. That way I'll be expecting. And he even went back. He said, I'm going to go. I'm going to talk it over with the bot. And I'm going to ask a question. Love it. And have to come back. Oh, uppity niggers. Keep asking us. You're supposed to just say no and shut up. Go clean the toilet. You're coming in and asking all these goofy questions. That's not what we made the chatbot for. Love it. Love it. Remind them. I thought we talked about this. Encouraged me to be a part of leadership. You got to ration it out to you. You don't get that much leadership. Love it. And that's the position that we should be in, asking for things that are constructive, so that white people are having to deny us things that are constructive all the time. We're trying to advance our career, advance replacing white supremacy with justice. Everything is leading towards that. It'll just be them denying justice, denying constructive resources, and then they can explain why. And then we'll ask again next year. Love it, but kudos for the new position. We'll be hoping he'll be telling us, got it, yes, new director. He said he can go experience racism someplace else for quadruple the salary. Let's see. Tumbling dice with us as well. See, you got to spend lots of money driving the little people to and from school. Privileged black male tumbling dice with us also.
I guess I was just laughing when I heard you said that it was stealing gas from the school bus, because I was accused. Actually, I just left the office earlier today because they were accusing me of stealing food sandwiches and ice from the cafeteria. So that's why I was laughing. And it just never stops. And then yesterday I had a field trip. And after I finished my field trip, I was walking through the bus, and I found the earbud. I guess one of the teachers left the earbud on the bus. So when I picked up the earbud, and I told my supervisor that I found the earbud on the bus. So I took the earbud and I put it in an envelope, and earlier today I took it over to the school where the teacher was working, even though school was out. So after I dropped off the earbud, I was walking past the door earlier. Right after I dropped it off, 2 or 3 minutes after I dropped it off, I went to use the restroom, and I was walking by the door, and I hear one of them said, "Oh, let's check this envelope to see if he left any weed for the teacher," So it was just a kind of hectic day for me today, because I was accused of stealing, taking sandwiches from the cafeteria, and now I was another way I was accused of delivering weed to a teacher, so it just never stopped us. And by the way, I still haven't heard anything from the union. So I wrote a letter to the president. So I haven't heard anything from him as yet either, and that's been over a week. So that's all I have to share for now, guys. Thanks.
Black male privilege, black male privilege, black male privilege. That, because we had talked about this before, and because it's a series of these racist false allegations, all of that I would ruthlessly document. As soon as they come out with a charge, you've been stealing ice, you've been stealing sandwiches, document everything. And then anytime they come with an allegation, I want my union representative present before proceeding, and I want a copy of the video. Since I've been accused of stealing sandwiches, and even pause. Forget the sandwiches. We'll assume that they had like filet mignon, Philly steak, cheese for the children, or they didn't even have Chuck Wagon or Sloppy Joe's. Like, they had the best of the best. They had like prime Angus burgers, sirloin burgers, and I mean, they did it up for the salmon burgers. They did it up. So we'll excuse that. You probably stole about a dozen of their salmon burgers. If I work at the establishment, how much ice do you have to steal before that becomes like a crime? Like a cup full, a cooler full? Like, I could totally get it. If you just ran off the street, you didn't work there, you just some potential rapist Negro, you just ran in, like filled up your cup or what have you. Hey, you might have contaminated us with Ebola or who knows. You work here. How much ice do you have to take for that to constitute, now you don't come in here to start your iceberg. This is not your personal freezer. You can get a teaspoon. No, it's summertime if you need to cool your water or what have you, but like, anyway, but I would have to request the video. We had talked about this before. For California specifically, if you're an employee, you have a right to request the video. And since this just happened, they can't lie and say they don't have it and all that like within the next, today is Thursday. I would see if you could draft that letter like today. And this is one, if you need any help, I would be happy to assist, because we'll learn something, so we'll know this is the procedure. If you're an employee and you get accused, you done stole all the ice cubes, request the video footage immediately. Like, if they make the accusation at 12 o'clock, see if you can make a request for the video footage before 1. Like that same day. That way it ain't going to be no, oh man, we lost it. Oh man, the system automatically deleted. Nope. I asked the same day the accusation was made, so you got it. It shouldn't be no, you erased it or none of that nonsense. I want the whole footage, and maybe it would be the footage for the whole day. If you're saying that I stole the ice today, whenever you say I stole it, I want the footage for the whole day. When did I steal the ice? At minimum, if you're saying I stole it in this window, I want the footage for that whole hour. Did I even enter the facility at this time? Much less. Now, again, how much ice is required to be stolen for this to be a crime? It would seem like this would have to be like, it can't just be he took 2 cubes. Sandwiches, we got that, whatever. But request the video immediately, ruthlessly document everything. Who made the charge? What time? What's the nature? I would even have to go back and ascertain, how much ice am I accused of? And with all seriousness, like, hey, give me the charge. What did I do now? I took a cooler in there. Like, what was this? Did I have like a barrel? Did I try to take the whole ice maker? What's the charge? Write that down. Who was present? When did I do this? I want the video footage, and then I'm submitting to the union as well. Now, he said it seems like some tackiness, racism there, the non-response. I give them a certain amount of time, and then I follow up and request. I submitted a report of false allegations and a pattern of false charges by the school administration on such and such date. It's been 5 business days, and I've not heard a response. Is someone going to respond to these allegations? If so, when? I take a little bit more time to write it out, but I mean, hey, I would crank that email out so fast, and especially because this is a pattern of this sort of racist conduct, these false allegations, and these can be easily disproven. They got cameras all over the school now, thanks to Dill and Reb. You got cameras all over the cafeteria. That's a quick one. Did he steal the sandwiches? Yes, no. Did he put weed in the envelope? That's a quick one. Yes, no. And particularly that one, that's nothing to joke about. If we got a school staff member, Breaking Bad as it were, pretending to be a school staff and then smuggling narcotics, call the authorities immediately. That's nothing to be sitting up here making a little, let's see how much ganja Leroy smuggled off to the, that's nothing to be snickering about. That's real serious. Call the police immediately. It would be the same thing. Who did this? Write it down, date, time, all of that. If I'm smuggling ganja, hey, why haven't the authorities been called? That's a serious crime. And particularly, I'm trying to do the correct thing. I'm trying to avoid being accused of, hey, Leroy, tumbling dice is on the bus here, stealing children's electrical equipment. Ought to be ashamed of yourself. Stealing the little children's iPhones and their headband, got their little earbuds, sneaking them off so you can go pawn that, ain't you? Fuel your crack habit, ain't you? Ought to be ashamed of you. See, he trying to cut all that off. I went and turned him in and did the correct thing, and that becomes, I'm a drug peddler? Nope. Document all of that. That would be another one, because I suspect where you handed that off at, I would request the video there as well, because it would probably have them on camera. Here's the envelope, boop, 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 and it would probably show them on camera, even if you can't hear what's said, them coming in to pass these old rooms. Let's see, Leroy, and put the. I would request the video camera on that too. Even if nothing else, we're serious about this. We're serious about all of these charges. Every time you all want to be tacky and racist about something, let's go get all the documentation. Every single time. That's name, date, where was this, and request the video footage for that one too. The time, and I would want the whole window from where you dropped it off to where when you came back through and they were making the tacky comment about you being pusher man. All of you, get that on video too. What's supposed to happen here? Even what's supposed to happen if that is a serious charge? What's supposed to happen? And then if that's not a serious charge, if they're just practicing racism, what's supposed to happen?
And then at the same time, Gus, they're really unabashed and blatant about it. I mean, it's like in your face. So that's the bad part of the whole thing.
That's why I say request the video. Like, I love it.
I will.
That works for you. All of it. Request the video footage for both incidents, the stealing the sandwiches. And then, yeah, you can be that flagrant about it. Grand. We should catch some of this stuff on the video. And either other people, and even you might even be one of those to qualify. I think it's Nick over the road has said getting the body camera, because they have cameras up there everywhere. I would check and see, are you an employee where you could have your own body camera? That way you have your own record where they come and make these sort of tacky statements and comments and all of that. That way you have your own personal record. What the children say on the bus, if they're cursing, and remember that time that the child got on there and, yo, black ass, and that sort of thing. That way you have your own personal record, and then you can get the school's copy of the record as well to protect yourself. And then when every day, if they're going to be coming with these old tacky charges, you done stole all the salmon burgers, you done stole the construction workers cone, it might be something to check. Even if it's not like legal in like court of law sense legal and that sort of thing, just for personal protection, it might be good. Because I don't think they're prohibitively expensive. I think Nick over the road was saying you can get them for under $100. I think even under $50, where you can get it inconspicuous. Bam, and they have different levels of sophistication. Where they have some, it goes right to cloud or what have you, so you already have it stored, or some variants and all of that. But that might be something to think about just for addict, because I mean, man, it's fast and furious. It's like every day they're coming with, you did this and you did, like, Jesus Christ, like, just for, is that something you've considered or thought about?
Well, I'm seriously thinking about it, Gus, because it's it's getting ridiculous now. You know, I mean, I can't catch a break. You know, I do my best to stay out of problems and go to work early, like Mr. Fuller said. Don't cause problems. Don't create problems. And I mean, these people, they just, you know, they just come at me for whatever, man. So, and the sad part is, I would like to leave. You know, I would like to leave and go to another district. But like I say, you know, when these people, they all know each other, and they all link up with each other to do unjust networking to harm a black person, you know. So you have to watch that too, because, you know, news travel before you, you know. So if you go to another school district, you know, another race soldier, call up that school and say, hey, we got that guy there and he's violent, and, you know. So and a friend of mine was telling me that a guy was having the same problem like I was having, and he went to another school district, and they hired him, and they let him work all the way up to just before his last day of probation. And in his last day of probation, the race soldiers, they call him and tell him that his service is no longer wanted, and they were all laughing about it. They thought it was funny to them that they fired this man, and during his probationary period, they said that he was doing a good job and stuff. And then the last day, you know, he was a privileged black male too. And the last day before he made probation, like on the very next day he was supposed to be out, that same day they call him in and tell him, we no longer need you. And the rule change in California is, you know, they when you're on probation, they can get rid of you without any cause. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened to him. So I'm kind of stuck where I'm at, you know, because I know how they work around here. You know how they all look up and you know, collude and collude with each other to harm people, like Mr. Fuller said, you know.
Very astute what Tumbling Dice just shared, the Voltron effect, which we've discussed before. Absolutely right, because even the caller at the courthouse in Florida has talked, now he's on the opposite side of the continent, but he's talked about, and that's a whole different field, but he's talked about how those white people at the courthouse where he's at, they might work at that courthouse for 5-10 years, and then they'll leave and they'll go to a different courthouse that might be 30 minutes, hour down the road or what have you, but they keep in touch. They come back, visit, call, email, hang out, you know, with the people that they worked with at the previous courthouse. White people do that sort of thing all over the world. So the white people at the school district where he works at, yeah, wherever else, you know, you think you can go down the road and get another job driving to school, but my cousin works there. My brother works there. My mother-in-law works there. Like, oh yeah, nigga, I'm just already. In fact, I probably already told them about you because you done got on their nerves. We got this old nigger here stealing cones and ice and sandwich burgers. We've been trying to get rid of them left and right. Hate him's guts. They probably already know about you. So the minute you leave it, oh, he coming down there. He coming down there. Don't have. That's the one he was stealing the ice, girl. That's the system of white supremacy. So that's super intelligent. That's why we say all the time, it might not necessarily be one where I'm going to leave this plantation because you're just going to another plantation, and you might be going to the plantation that is owned by the brother or sister of your current plantation owner. So, hey, system of white supremacy racism. Sometimes you just try and have to confront things where you are until you can quadruple your salary. Then you move to a different plantation. But get that video. Make the request for the video footage for when you or allegedly were passing reefer in the envelope to the teacher, and then the video footage for when you were stealing ice and sandwiches. I swear I thought he was going to say that he was stealing gas from the school buses, but I guess ice, gas, about the same. But I would seriously think about getting the body camera. That way you can have another just layer of protection for yourself to document what's happening, what's being said, what's being done, and then your own conduct in all of this as well. Since he did mention Mr. Fuller 2 times, I already had this up. This is my plan. I'd said weeks before that since I did acquire Mr. Fuller's personnel records from his time at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, I could from time to time just pause and read a section or two from his personnel record, because it is remarkable. Like, wow, just wow. And it is a testament to his codification, meticulous nature through and through. So I think last week I read one page, because I just got this recently. And so I think I read like 1 page last week. I'm going to back up and maybe give more of the full report from this. This is just one report where they're doing an assessment of Mr. Fuller's work at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, where he worked for decades, about 30 years, I think a little over 30 years, in fact. So this is from October 25, 1966. This is to F.W. Chapin, the Director, Office of Industrial Relations. This is performance rating Neely Fuller Jr., Guard GSF. In accordance with provisions of the Bureau's performance rating plan, there is herewith transmitted documentation supporting the recommendation for an outstanding rating. It is anticipated that Mr. Fuller will continue to perform in this same manner throughout the coming year, and consideration should be given with a view toward a high quality step increase. The evaluation, Office of Industrial Services performance requirements. 1. Reads and fully understands the position description, becomes thoroughly familiar with the contents of the Guard Manual, thereby developing, retaining, and demonstrating capability and performing maximum security protective services for safeguarding Bureau premises, products, and personnel. Enforces written and verbal orders prescribed for various posts and patrols, exercising sound judgment in translating such orders to situations encountered and duties performed through broad knowledge and application of strict security regulations. Performance in excess of requirements. 1. Private Fuller, as a matter of routine, constantly reads and familiarizes himself with current rules, regulations, and revised operational procedures, resulting in the development of an exceptional, comprehensive knowledge of the duties and responsibilities of his position. This self-acquired, added knowledge is utilized by him in the performance of all assignments in an exceptional manner. He has a keen sense of responsibility, which results in the need for very limited direction from supervisors in carrying out to completion both verbal and written orders. His outstanding performance has resulted in complete confidence in the part of supervisors and reflects only favorably on the Bureau. He possesses exceptional ability to understand orders and procedures, and continually applies unusually sound judgment as demonstrated in his manner both on and off post. Private Fuller has an exceptional awareness of his responsibility, especially in initiating immediate action in disclosing security weaknesses. Over a long period of time, his ability to promptly analyze situations of such nature has resulted in preventive actions taken which have precluded certain security violations as well as safety hazards and tourist incidents. He has been the recipient of verbal and written commendations in recognition of his extremely keen alertness and attention to detail with regard to the understanding and application of strict security regulations which enhance Bureau security. I'll give one more. This is a lengthy report. We'll give one more. So first, performance requirements. 2, is courteous, cooperative, and tactful with all Bureau contacts and general public. Deals with contacts in a business-like attitude, using utmost tact and courtesy in exercising authority with firmness but kindness, avoiding unnecessary conversations, and bluntness, but using discretion in gaining confidence and respect, reflecting favorably upon Bureau management, its related security programs, and the Treasury Department. 2. This is, again, performance in excess of requirements. Private Fuller possesses and consistently displays a tremendous spirit of cooperation which goes far beyond that which is expected. He has received a written commendation for assisting in firefighting activities. Like, what? That's crazy. Volunteering his services before his official tour of duty started. His natural stature and demeanor, together with his attitude, willingness, and exceptional cooperative spirit, command respect without further emphasis. He conducts himself at all times in a business-like manner and has a pleasing but authoritative bearing. He is extremely tactful and courteous with all work contacts and associates, as well as outside bureau contacts during the course of performance. He is considered an outstanding complement in representing the Bureau and Treasury organization, and wears his uniform and badge of authority with utmost dignity for its significance and responsibility. And we will stop there. This is all a part of 1966 report on Mr. Fuller, where he has been given high consideration for a high-quality step increase. Again, I don't know how many people could just have their work performance evaluations read, like if they were alive or deceased, like, you know, for their brag, just go and get my work record and read that, and that'll be my brag for my character. Like, right on, Neely Fuller Jr. And you see that meticulous attention to detail from his work record. For sure, you see that he applied that same thought process and scientific nature to counter racism. Bravo, Neely Fuller Jr., who talked a lot about workplace racism. I mean, this right here might even give you a clue to some of his thought process in terms of what he recommended in terms of how non-white people should conduct ourselves in the workplace. Anyway, I'll read more from this as we process it. I can take a little time out each week during Neutralizing Workplace Racism and read a little bit from his personnel record, since this is about workplace, and his performance on the job. Let's see. Email number 1 from a listener who wrote in. She writes in, "It's been a very racist fortnight on the plantation. I previously mentioned the performance bonuses we can earn when colleagues recognize one another for great work, or something vaguer and more subjective. It's open to abuse. It's like being a nice person to work with," whatever that means. There seems to be a campaign to raise right-wing Ashley's profile and reward her as much as possible, because for the past few weeks she's received multiple nominations at our directorate meetings. They use a virtual roulette wheel made up of the names of people that have been nominated during the meeting. If 10 people nominate you, your name appears on the wheel 10 times, therefore increasing the likelihood of you winning. Guess whose name has appeared on the wheel multiple times during the same meeting? I don't think I've noticed the same happening with any of the more than 100 people on the call. And if it has, it's rare. 2 people might nominate the same person, but for genuine reasons. All she's doing is organizing the away day, which takes place next week. Now, people do love the away days. Like, man, you get the right cupcakes, or you pick the right restaurant, or whatever. Like, employee of the year. Now, this is one of those that I would say, this seems kind of frivolous. Like, what in the world? Whatever. Employee of the year. Did you see them cupcakes? Woo. Let's see. They use the roulette wheel. She's organizing the away day, which takes place next week. I guarantee there will be another set of nominations for her afterwards for her hard work in organizing the day. Absolutely. It's so unjust and has been irking me really bad, which I need to work on, as it brought my mood down for a large part of this week. Yes, I'd like to be nominated, as everyone likes free cash, but the reason I'm annoyed is because her racism is being rewarded in multiple ways. In addition to gearing myself up for the directorate away day next week, which is in the city where I live, I'm being forced to attend a team away day in another city that is approximately 63 miles away, 101 kilometers. It's like an hour of travel, basically. Man, and see, this is another one where I put even, now I know this is not the case, but even if we were all going to hop on the tube, let's say, we get on the train, wherever they're going, wherever it is, there's a train from wherever we are in point A, we can all hop on the train so we don't have to carpool and burn up a lot of gas and all that. We just hop on the train and fall asleep and bam, we'll wake up at the stop, get off, and then we go do, whatever the team build or whatever exercise is going to be. Even if that were the case, why are we wasting all this time and energy to travel that far? Is something spectacular here? Like it's a waterfall, a nature retreat, it's something. It's something that we're doing all of this. We cannot be driving in. It's probably not going to be we all hop on the train and, we all get in our car, what have you, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 vehicles, whatever it is, and drive down to wherever this is. For what? Is this just to go to a restaurant, a hotel, shopping? Come on. That's what I'm saying. We could have done that. Even if you say, well, the team meeting experience, if you say that's important for whatever is going to be discussed or whatever information is going to be shared, fine. Do we have to travel an hour? That's an hour one way. So, you're talking 2 hours of travel? Man, we couldn't have stayed right here and just, we could have met at work. Or, if we got to go out someplace, we couldn't have went to a facility that's right in the same city. 15-minute drive, we could have went there, and all that 2 hours of drive, we could have just devoted that to the meeting, or time saved. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of just wasting time and energy, lots of that, and then celebrating that wasting time and energy. With the gas prices too, now you got people stealing gas out of school buses, and we got to waste 63 miles of travel for what? For something that, real talk, probably could have been done on Zoom. Let's see. She continues. The journey typically takes around 1 hour to an hour 30 minutes. See, I said, and even could be 90 minutes. See, that would be 3 hours round trip if you take the 90-minute route, I guess. This is because Keisha, who manages Raj, has organized this whole team to join her when she goes to meet him. Again, it seems like we could have probably done this on Zoom and problem solved. There is an expectation that line managers visit their subordinates for meetings and vice versa if they are based in different cities. This will vary because people have different family and work commitments. I think Keisha only travels to Raj's city once per year. Last year, I ignored the invitation, but feel forced to go after she recently accused me of avoiding lunches with her and Monique. I haven't been to Raj's hometown before, so I'll see a new part of the country, which is a benefit, I guess. I do enjoy travel, but this is coerced travel in a way. And it's not like Freesville, you can just go and, put our feet up and sightsee, take some pictures, light our IG up, that type of thing. This is a business trip, so we're all going by train. Oh, I get to see, they are going by train. So, okay, they're not wasting all that gas. I was in error. I assumed they were going to be wasting gas in the car and all that. So, okay, they are going to at least not waste all the gas and such. They are going by train. Monique suggested people meet up to do the journey together if you live close enough to each other. She and I would be traveling on the same line for part of the journey. If I take the most convenient route, there ain't no way in hell, that I do think is sophisticated counter-racist thought, like for something like this. Because I just wouldn't think, of doing like work field trips. That's kind of what this sounds like. Like we're doing like a group field trip together. But okay, I might have concerns about my employee, especially if your employees have a semi-automatic rifle in their trunk or on their person. I might have concerns about them knowing like the exact stop for the train where I get off or get on. That might be one where it might be worth it to kind of switch it up, even if it's a slight inconvenience, where you might be able to get off the train and bang, your residence is right across the street. Switch that up. Dang, man, it's an hour out of the way. Hey, that's okay. Now, I will concede, hey, the people that you work with, again, their cousin probably works in HR, or their mom, or sister-in-law, or brother, or whatever. Friend, kindergarten chum, somebody white. They probably got access to all your information, like social security number, home address, last 10 jobs, whatever. With your picture of your driver's license, like they probably got access to whatever's in your file that you used to apply for the job and more. So, ain't no secrets. That said, no need to make it that easy, because you could move. It might not be the current information in the file, whatever else. No need to make it super easy for them to see. Same logic we've used for like the carpooling before. You might want to have them drop you off someplace other than your residence. That way they don't know exactly where you live. You can get somebody to come pick you up or whatever it is, but just some forethought so that, like I said, hey, you don't know if your coworker has a semi-automatic rifle in the trunk on their person. Excellent to kind of keep that in mind, and you can, yes, normally I would get off at stop B, but today I'm going to get off at stop M, just in case. Let us know how the away day goes. That wasting time and even though they're taking the train, that still strikes me as wasting time and energy. Maybe she'll get there and it'll be great. She'll be like, wow, I would have never, seen all this, and they have great shops, and I found a great bookstore, and oh my goodness, I thought so. I would come back here and meditate, do some counter-racist writing, research. Great. Maybe. We'll see. But I think they could have probably done all this on Zoom, save time and energy. Let's see. Folks have anything else to share? You have any tips on minimizing violence in the workplace, especially violence with other black employees? Let us know. The number is 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. We will be here Friday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, as we are getting down the home stretch, thank God, of one of the worst books ever. Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow. Specifically, we're picking up on the section, The Minstrel Show. Cannot wait. That is Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Dial in. You can listen live, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. As we chug down the home stretch. It's terrible, inaccurate, dare I say deliberately dishonest at many spots, but going down the home stretch tomorrow, and then we'll have the Counter-Racist Weekly Review this Saturday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll review what has gone down over the past 7 days, which certainly will include the guilty verdict, the Carmelo Anthony murder trial down in Texas. I think his parents gave some interviews after everything was all done. Again, I say attempted parents, especially attempted black parents, should use that case, Carmelo Anthony, use that case to explain the logic of the system of white supremacy racism. That happened to, I believe he was 17, the young black male at the time that this stabbing or what have you occurred. I think he's 19 now, Carmelo Anthony, but use this as a case to illustrate the logics. What is system of white supremacy racism? What does that mean? Use that as a case study since he was 17 years old, and you can recent history. So you got great HD footage, court footage, all kinds of newspaper articles and everything that would be easily accessible. Even a lot of this, you probably wouldn't even need to go to your library. A lot of this, you could probably sit in the comfort and air conditioning of your residence and whip out your phone, and you could probably, with YouTube, and if you can access some of the newspaper footage from the past month and then going back to when this first happened, you could access, especially if you're in Texas, oh man, you'd have access to some of the local newspaper footage of this case, and then you get some of the national coverage, and then coverage from this week of the trial. You go on YouTube and get a lot of that. Like, oh man, you could do a brilliant, thorough, comprehensive case study, local system of white supremacy racism, and then counter-racist logic for your conduct as a black person, as a victim of white supremacy racism, how you want them to behave. They're out in public, somebody says something to them, that sort of thing. Case study right there. Live time, 2026 too. We don't have to go back and get no antiquated. Right now, system operation of white supremacy racism 2026. And I don't have offspring, but I would use that case study. And if we have any parents who have done so, I would love to hear what you all have shared with your offspring or cousins or nieces or nephews or whatever it is. Counter Racist Weekly Review this Saturday. That's it. Let's see. Make sure you do not miss any folks if they have additional thoughts, observations, tips to minimize violence amongst other black employees. Let's see. We'll assume everyone is satisfied. Grand. We will be here about 24 hours. Again, Catherine Massey Book Club, New Jim Crow. Man, it's supposed to be getting warm here in the Seattle area, so drink more water as we groove on into summer official, especially if you have one of those jobs where you are moving around a lot or having to be outside, you're in a warmer environment, maybe they don't have AC, or if you're in an environment where it's hot for the job that you do, even if you are inside, drink more water. That might be your black self-respect as well. Water, heat advisories, and making sure that's even safety, making sure we don't have overexposure or anybody get dehydrated and pass out in the workplace. It is about that time of year, unfortunately, and some places have already been experiencing heat waves. So drink more water. Black self-respect to speak up about heat and safety in the workplace. Sobriety would be best, especially if you're going to do away days and all that. I think I mentioned Father's Day, summertime, even in the workplace, they start to have a lot of like parties and barbecues and get together. Some of them, they'll even have like a 4th of July type of a thing. Sobriety is the way to go at all of these events. Even if, come on, just have a little wine, or come on, you can have one beer. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy, especially when you are in the company of your colleagues, white or non-white, and especially when you are in the presence of individuals classified as white. You need your whole brain computer working at full capacity. Creator, we ask that you remind us, stop saying not all white people are racist. Remind us Stop name calling and cursing people classified as black. It has been time. Maybe stop shooting and choking your black coworkers. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.